Quentin Tarantino has an amazing filmography. I think he's one of the best directors still alive to this day. And he's made so much phenomenal products over the years. Look at every film he's ever directed and rank all of them. In last place, we have Death Proof. Now, I don't think this is actually that bad of a movie, but the reason why it's at last is that it's just not the most appealing to a general audience. The main character of Stuntman Mike, I love how they reveal more and more about his character throughout the entirety of the film, but then, anyway, he murders people with his car, and as an audience member, the problem is that I don't think he gets enough focus, and the other characters aren't bad, obnoxious, or offensive. They're just not that memorable, and they're pretty generic, I gotta say. So, we have one part that's great, and the other part that's just fine, and it doesn't really hold up the best, but it's still a decent watch. Jackie Brown. Now, even though it's lower on the list, this is actually a pretty underrated movie, I gotta say. But to sum this movie up, it's about a pilot trying to smuggle money from Mexico to the US, and it succeeds because all the characters work incredibly well. Everything is incredibly well laid out as well, and the setups in the final scene being showed 3 different times from 3 different characters, which is a very easy thing to screw up, actually succeeds in it. But the film just doesn't do anything entirely clever or entirely masterfully memorable, but this is still a good movie. Even though it's 2 movies, it's generally seen as one, and it's one story that works incredibly well, full of plenty of creative concepts throughout, combining itself with some great fight sequences. There are multiple genius setups and sequences, and it's definitely a lot of time, but all of it is worth it. There's always something interesting going on that constantly keeps your attention. These are 2 movies I cannot recommend enough. Hot damn, this movie was great. Now, I do have to say that this was something that you have to compare to other Tarantino movies, which it just is so different from everything else that he's made in a good way. Right now, it succeeds at this specific style, make constantly entertaining, and the music choices especially were just so diverse as well. The cinematography was great, everything was incredibly well shot. This is a film I definitely recommend you check out. This one, I gotta say, the plot is pretty ridiculous, but everything keeps you entertained, and the main part is the perspective that it takes. A slave that has recently been freed and has the opportunity to team up with a plantation owner. This has plenty of well-incorporated themes and succeeds in all. Also, I gotta say, I think this is Samuel L. Jackson's best performance ever. Now, that is saying a lot because he has been good so much, including many of these, but even if he was the main character, he is so goddamn good in this movie. Now, this movie succeeds at having such a unique structure, but it starts out with a robbery going wrong, and then we continue with scenes actually set before the robbery, and making it work extremely well, and the transitions and execution throughout most of it excel, creatively making it in the definitive masterpiece region of all his filmography. This is a film that needs no introductory and is one that succeeds because it does nothing that most films haven't seen ever attempted to do. It basically takes 4 cleverly laid out stories that all intertwine with each other, creating multiple series of events that are always engaging, leaving us with stories that aren't the highest in scale, not the most conceptually interesting, but are all suspenseful at the same time. Now, this World War II story succeeds because of consisting of a large movie screening and everyone trying to take advantage of it to hurt people, which this film also takes advantage fully of its concept, because every scene, even if set in the same location more than once, has so much variety, and I think there isn't a single scene that's not memorable in this entire movie, and that's saying a lot because even if it's not the fastest paced, it was always paced at a necessary amount to keep the story consistent, plus the style certainly shows here. This film is absolutely memorable in every way. The Hateful Eight is probably not the most popular pick for the number 1 spot, but I think it's easily my favorite. It works so well because the fact that nothing much happens throughout the entire movie, but it's constantly entertaining at the same time. The film is either set within a room or stagecoach. When it's filled with everything from a Tarantino movie, intense moments, and the film progresses as you learn more and more about these characters that all work incredibly well. And this film's score and cinematography are just both outstanding. This is easily my favorite, maybe because of these reasons, because this one is actually pretty underrated. A lot of people didn't like it, but I fucking loved it. But anyway, there we go, ranking all the Tarantino films, and across his filmography, it's been impressive pretty much the entire way through, so I'm curious to see where it go within the future, even though there's 1 movie left, but I want to see how that'll turn out. Anyway, maybe put your ranking down below. I'm curious to see what other people think of this. Maybe even subscribe if you're at it. Anyway, I'm Drxhenry, and I'm signing off.